you guys will see, once again, there's nothing you can do for these people that will ever be good enough.
And I just want to know how you feel or how you respond to some of those criticisms when you have to deal with something that it's really not your problem. Like, I feel like it's them looking in a mirror a little bit, but it still comes down on your shoulders.
I feel like I always have had really good perspective on everything that's kind of happened in my life, whether that's been good, whether that's been bad. And then obviously coming to the WNBA, like I've said, I feel like I've earned every single thing that's happened to me over the course of my career. But also, I grew up a fan of this league from a very young age. Like, my favorite player was Maya Moore. Like, I know what this league was about. And like I said, like, it's only been around 25 plus years. So I know there's been so many amazing black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them, I think, is very important. And that's something I'm very aware of. And like I said, like, I try to just be real and authentic and, you know, share my truth. And I think that's very easy for me. Like, I'm
Time
very
magazine, where Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover and said,
being bullied?
Why is that wrong?
Why is she being bullied for acknowledging something that's smart, truth, and factual?
Well, a couple things. Number one, whether you're an athlete or anyone else, if I hear you use the phrase "my truth," I immediately then discount everything else you say, because there isn't my truth or your truth.
I inserted that little bit with Scott Jennings about the whole, if I've got to hear my truth one more time. I inserted that in there for a reason, because there's a lot to talk about over the course of this video. So make sure you guys stick around for the full bit. So what are we going to be diving into? Well, we're going to be talking about this Caitlin Clark situation. And even though it's been a few days old, maybe even a little bit longer than that, I figured I would talk about it because obviously, like every single situation like this, you got to allow for things to develop and fully metastasize. Now, guys, real quick, before we fully dive into this bit from CNN involving Sheila Johnson, owner of the Seattle Mystics, about 4.5, 5 minutes long. I'm going to be linking that in the description box. There's a few bits that I pulled from this to kind of give you guys an idea of why it is that you never apologize to these people under any circumstances or bend the woke knee. But we're for the most part going to be talking about the response and why it is that people should not be surprised that Caitlin Clark took the position that she did. However, it's still a mistake, as I will be explaining over the course of this video, so make sure you guys stick around for the full bit. But as always, before we fully dive in, I think I just said finally, yeah, before we fully dive in, make sure you guys please cut the notifications on for the channel so that way you guys are notified when videos come out. You guys can follow me on Facebook. You guys can follow me on X, also known as Twitter. I still mostly call it Twitter. I'll probably link a pinned tweet in the description box. That way you guys can follow me there, as well as a post from Facebook on the channel's Facebook account. And, of course, I'll be explaining a little bit more over the course of this week how things are going to go going into next year, or giving you guys more reasons why I'm doing the content the way I'm going to be doing it in 2025. Basically, going back to culture is what we're going to be doing, but obviously expanding the content other ways and other channels. So we'll handle that a little bit later on in the week before I go on break. But still, though, we got to talk about this because, once again, it's just more and more and more proof why it is that nothing you ever say or ever do for these people is ever going to be enough. So who was the first person to fire a salvo at Caitlin Clark over the take that she had? Well, it was Megyn Kelly.
Black players, probably not all of them, but I haven't heard one dissent from what's being done to Caitlin, are rising up against this white player solely because of skin color. It is racist bullying to its core. And when she gets profiled by Time magazine, instead of just ignoring race and saying, I'm really grateful, thank you. Or, you know what your other option is, Caitlin, is to say, no thanks. If you really mean it, if what you really want is the spotlight on the black players, then don't say you'll sit for the profile. Sorry, Paul, but this is ridiculous.
Just like Scott says here.
Here's the disappointment. Here's the disappointment.
It's the white privilege.
Hold on,
Let him articulate this, because I want to learn something.
I feel a little bad for her, because she's going to learn that it will never be enough. No matter how much of the phrasing, no matter how much of the groveling you do, it will never be enough for the people in that league that hate her guts.
why do you assume
they hate her
that
guts?
Real quick, before I talk about any of that, I just want to say this right here. Apparently, Caitlin Clark and Megyn Kelly both are in a bit of a cat fight, left and right. This is not exactly a fight that Caitlin Clark wants, okay? I mean, she really and truly does not, because Megyn is pretty strong when it comes to this topic, but still, or she's gotten a lot better. So I don't think Caitlin wants to go after somebody who's actually supporting her. But then again, at the same time, given the fact that it's a league of primarily nothing but black lesbians, and of course she basically got her really, to tell you the truth, she got physically manhandled pretty much her entire rookie season. She got absolutely destroyed. Yeah, given her situation, I can kind of sort of understand the fear there. But then again, though, at the same time, you might want to consider fighting back rather than taking the woke line, as we'll explain over the course of this video. So what happened? So Time Magazine, they always do their Person of the Year, each category, and they chose to name Caitlin Clark Athlete of the Year. Well, one person in particular, is upset that the WNBA as a whole was not named League of the Year. We'll get to that here soon. But I think that this conversation that's being held on CNN between Scott Jennings, a former WNBA player, and Bakari Sellers' dishonest ass, I think that right there is the conversation that we'll be focusing on. I'll say this really quick. To me, I don't think this right here is a black-white racial issue. I really truly don't think it is. If anything, I think it's really more of a feminazi issue, as you guys will see over the course of this video. Now, let's go ahead and be real. Let's just go ahead and be blatantly obvious. NBA's ratings are actually in the toilet, actually a lot worse. They're the worst that they've been since 2002. That brother is all the hell I'm going to be saying. In some cases, it even looks worse by some metrics. And the face of the league, LeBron James, has suddenly decided to take a bit of a sabbatical. I wonder if the Diddy crap's got anything to do with that. But still, though, yeah. Once again, this right here is the same guy who comes into the league, becomes the face of the league, and yet somehow or another, the league is in worse shape when he's on his way out. Now, why am I talking about the NBA? Because the NBA is who subsidizes the WNBA. All right? The NBA is who subsidizes the WNBA. So for the most part, these women who are now saying that they're making the money off of black female players, I don't think that's really and truly so. I think, if anything, they're making money off the backs of black male players and some white ones too. That's why I say it's more of a feminazi type issue than it is actually a race issue. But of course, like everything involving the woke and the left, they always find a way to make it racial. I'll also say one more thing that's completely, totally obvious before we get to this discussion. And that is this right here. Caitlin Clark is like the piece of white chocolate and like a bag full of Hershey Kisses, which I don't consider these women to be kisses. I consider these women to be, well, like I said earlier, mean, nasty, all that type of stuff there, and, whatever. But still, though, the point is this right here. These people screaming and hollering about race when there's only just a handful of white girls in the league and the chief star is white, I think is actually quite hilarious and quite revealing about these people's mental state and who the hell they really and truly are. I just figured I'd point that out, given everything that we've seen this past year, especially in the WNBA, as far as the treatment of Caitlin Clark. But let's go ahead and get to this comical discussion.
That started in 1997. There were the Lisa Leslies and the Dawn Staleys and the Cheryl Swoops of it all who really built this league, and they weren't getting the attention because, let's face it, the league was built in a way in which it wasn't mainstream. And all she's simply saying is that I want to respect those who come before me. Now, conservatives do one of two things that I am so fascinated with, especially when it comes to her. Either they whine or they bully. So now it's time to do both. They're bullying her when she decides to just like a post about Taylor Swift post about Taylor Swift endorsing Kamala Harris. They
endorsing
unfollow her.
voting.
Like saying go vote. Yeah. And then they
the only people who have bullied Caitlin Clark have been people like yourself. Do you guys remember Martha McNutt? She was on ESPN First Take debating the same very issue against Stephen A. Smith because Stephen A. Smith and several others were saying that Caitlin Clark was kind of sort of the golden goose. She was kind of the reason why it was that the WNBA was starting to get some of the money that they've been losing back. I mean, it's a league that loses millions of dollars every single year. It's really, truly not worth running. Fully subsidized by men, by the way. But still, though, the point is this right here. They found ways to not make money with Caitlin Clark. They found ways to bully this girl on the court, on and also off the court, too. If you go back and look at some of the articles that were written by the woke press, sports journalism has gone fully downhill as well, if you guys haven't actually noticed. But Martha McNutt, who is actually debating this issue, she's not been on First Take since. Now, I understand that somebody's probably going to say that her purpose is for WNBA, but still at the same time, though, you figure that she would have been brought back at this point in time. She's not been brought back. Probably because ESPN's ratings are down as well, and they know that this asinine woke horse crap is not exactly a good sell. Also, to go on top of this, this particular company had an opportunity to make millions of dollars by simply putting her on the women's Olympic team. Team USA. That's all I had to do. She ain't got to play or anything. They just put her out there, and of course it will get interest for the league. The truth be told is these feminazis don't know business. They don't understand business. Okay, that right there is the real truth about the women of the WNBA. It's the reason why it is one content creator who calls out sports nonsense all the time, especially as far as sports journalism is concerned. I'll link the channel in the description box. Otherwise, you guys can give them a shot. Calls them the dump divers because they are in fact dump divers. It's a trash league fully subsidized by the NBA, but you'll hear me say that over and over and over again over the course of this video, but let's get back to it.
And then she says, you know what? I am so grateful for all this money I make. I'm making more money than most of these women will ever see in their lifetime because I am a great player, but I'm also someone that they are using as their message person, that they are using me as a conduit to get their message out. And she says, no, I don't want any of that. I'm grateful. And hopefully I can shine some attention on Bakari because no one's paying attention to Bakari. And so I'm going to give Bakari some attention because you know what? Thank you for keeping this league alive, Bakari. Everything that you've done has really got to the point where I can be here and benefit in this moment. And Megyn Kelly, since she's on a knee apologizing because she's white, she's acknowledging the reverse DEI that no one wants to talk about. She has a privilege. She has been in this league for a year.
No, Megyn Kelly is simply telling the girl that you're kind of sort of the golden goose and you're kind of sort of the only thing that's actually worth anything in this league. She's also saying that you should not apologize, especially given the circumstances that you're like one of the few white players in the league, and also given the fact that Caitlin Clark has, for the most part, been treated like garbage by the players themselves, the black lesbians, of course. Yeah. I think that it would have served Caitlin Clark a lot more if she'd have actually stood firm on this, because you see now the girls at the WNBA, they see Caitlin Clark basically bending the knee, and guess what they're going to do? They, sensing weakness, are probably going to punish her and bully her more. Like I said before, these people, there's really nothing you could do for these people. You just can't win with this. One of the main reasons why it is best you just simply walk the hell away from these types. But let's get to the bigger portion of this video, because we got to bring in the master Scott Jennings to hammer down why it is that this league is such a huge embarrassing failure.
Well, a couple things. Number one, whether you're an athlete or anyone else, if I hear you use the phrase "my truth," I immediately then discount everything else you say, because there isn't my truth or your truth. There's just the truth. And when you start using phrases like that, it tells me that
not true.
Your brain has been captured by something that I don't really respect.
That's not true.
Number two.
That's not true.
Number two, the attention the league got this year was amazing, and it was all because of her. She is an amazing player. The arenas were full when she played in them. The TV ratings were up when she was on television. That's undeniable. But the league still lost like $40 million this year. And it's never made money. And to me, when you're talking about having respecting people who built something. What did they build? A league that loses money every year? She has the capacity.
What do you mean? What do they build? What do you mean? What do they build?
What kind of a business?
There are little children right now, little girls at home, hoping that they can play in what they call the WNBA. And the reason why it's still up and still running, whether it's losing money or not, is because of these black women who are in this.
Isn't it because of the investors?
No, Scott, stop it. You stop it now.
It's not. I was in Dickie's arena.
Who pays for it?
It is a failure. I mean, it is a league that loses money every single year. Also, something else, too, the mere fact that Caitlin Clark pandered or bowed. Like I said before, it's not exactly a position of strength that she has. Look, we understand that maybe you need to follow certain guidelines to keep your job, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but when you've got crazy commie Marxists who are literally looking to bully the shit out of you in order to get you to do, you need to stand your ground. The reason why you need to stand your ground, at least as far as this situation is concerned, is because, like I said before, the players in the WNBA, the women there, they're going to sense weakness on this. And like I said before, I mean, it's bad enough that they already bully the girl. Next year, they're going to be bullying her way more because they want to let's just say that race is an issue. But like I said, this is more of a feminazi issue, because obviously this lady right here does not seem to understand that the league itself is subsidized by men. They're the ones who are putting up with this nonsense. I mean, look, if the NBA said, look, we're no longer going to give money to the WNBA, if we're no longer going to subsidize people, if they wanted to say no to that there, the WNBA would go under overnight. It's part of the reason why it was that Caitlin Clark should have been featured a lot more. And also to go on top of that, and you guys will see right here in a second, why is it Time chose to honor her rather than the entire WNBA? Because even very, very liberal Time Life magazine knows that the WNBA is trash and the players too. But let's keep going. Exactly. Now let's get to Bakari Sellers.
The first point was my truth. The second point is, Scott, you cannot denigrate. You cannot simply say that Dawn Staley and Lisa Leslie and Sheryl Swoops and all these women who do something insanely better than all of us at this table did not build anything that you can't respect. Yet the league wasn't built in a way that would make money. That's not what it is.
That's not what it was for.
But these ladies gave their all. The Sue Bird.
Then what the hell was it built for, Bakari? Seriously, tell me.
The definition of white supremacy, do you know what the definition of white supremacy is? It's when you feel like equality is oppression. And for some reason, it gets so entangled because people just simply want equality, and you feel like that's taking away something from you. I'm not dare saying that anybody at this table is a white supremacist, but what I am trying to do is at least educate you on what the truth is. And so we both come from different, we want the same America for our children, but we come from different places. We don't necessarily want equality. Some of us just want equity, right? And all I'm saying about Caitlin Clark
That's a different statement.
So we talk about white supremacy, which of course is something that these people love to go to. By the way, Caitlin Clark's like the chief white star in a league that's like 90 some odd % black. Okay, so it sounds to me like if there was any racism going on, it would be against the minority party, which of course is the white girl. Once again, like I said, Caitlin Clark should have stood firm because, of course, she's going to get bullied, all through next year as well. And, of course, we also heard equity. Equity. First of all, equity and equality are not the same. I mean, look, he even said we don't want equality, we want equity. Okay? We don't want equality, we want equity. Basically, they want you to work for them. They want you to work. They want your fruits. They want the fruits of your labor. I'm pretty sure in the next year, you're probably going to hear some reports that the ladies in the WNBA are pissed off that Caitlin Clark's salary went up. They're going to get pissed off that she's getting a set amount of money. They're going to get upset about that, and they're going to want a piece of the pie. It's one of the reasons why it is. Caitlin Clark probably should not have gone to the WNBA. It's probably the reason why is that she probably should have taken another job somewhere else. Maybe work for ESPN, something like that. They're followed up on her college degree. That's probably what Caitlin Clark should have done. But, of course, Caitlin Clark has decided to go to the WNBA, a league that, quite frankly, is not worth saving. And, of course, you can see the types who are running the WNBA, who are simping for the WNBA. They basically, at the end of the day, just want the fruits of your labor. That right there is the truth about these wokesters. Which brings us to Sheila Johnson, co-founder of BET and current owner of the Seattle Mystics. The whole segment is roughly 5 minutes long, but I pulled this little bit here out, and the reason why I pulled this little bit here out is because I think this right here is the let's just say that it's exactly what tells you that these people will never be satisfied under any set of circumstances. Let's roll this.
WNBA almost 28 years to get to the point where we are now, and this year something clicked with the WNBA, and it's because of the draft of the players that came in. It's just not Caitlin Clark. It's Reese. We have so much talent out there recognized. And I don't think we can just pin it on one player.
There has been, this phrase has been couched, hasn't it? The Caitlin Clark effect. Why do you think that has been the case?
Well, I want to be very diplomatic about this. It's just the structure of the way media plays out race. I'm going to be very honest. I feel
the media plays out race. Angel Reese, the draft class. Look, let me say this right quick. Angel Reese, nobody likes her. Okay, they just don't. Look, I understand that Angel Reese got a bad rap for the trash talk and the NCAA Women's Championship game from a couple of years ago with Caitlin Clark. And I understand that some of that right there was actually warranted based upon Caitlin Clark's trash talk and reactions to basically every play that she had in that particular NCAA tournament. Still, though, at the same time, nobody really and truly likes Angel Reese. She's just not a likable player. And to go on top of that, she's in a town like Chicago, which you would think would actually be a bit of a boost, which, by the way, is a much, much bigger media market, yet nobody seems to care about that team. Yeah, I don't find that right there to be a much of an argument in this. It seems to me like Caitlin Clark actually carried you guys, and she is the one who brought the excitement back to the league. But, of course, some of that excitement's going to be gone now that she's bent the woke knee. Or bent her knee to the woke mob, but of course, like I said before, it was expected. So talented that nobody gave a shit about the league until Caitlin Clark came around. The lack of self-awareness here is absolutely hilarious.
I've seen so many players of color that are equally as talented, and they never got the recognition that they should have. And I think right now, it is time for that to happen. So last night, we read Time magazine where Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover and say, is the League of the Year because of all the talent that we have? Because when you just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings. And so now you're starting to hear stories of racism within the WNBA, and I don't want to hear that. We have got to operate and become stronger as a league and respect everybody that's playing and their talents.
So you want the league on the cover of Time magazine. You want the league on the cover of Time magazine. You say Caitlin Clark has already bent the knee. She's already given the Wokes what they wanted, and yet they're still complaining. They're still bitching and bellyaching about it. We've got so much talent in this league. Let's don't just pin it on one player. She's legitimately the only thing anybody shows up to see. Like I said, the lack of self-awareness here speaks volumes. And here's the thing that these ungrateful ingrates will never seem to understand. The WNBA has never been popular. They had a small popular spot at one point in time where it actually elevated, actually went up a good amount. People were engaged, and all of a sudden people just cut it off. They didn't want to watch it anymore. They'd much rather just watch the men. Just more and more BS. By the way, that issue will come up in the near future too. These ungrateful ladies will come out here and say that they deserve the same amount of money that NBA players get, and not realizing that the NBA fully subsidizes their league. As a matter of fact, if anything, NBA owners right now are probably pissed off that this discussion is being had, and they're getting tired of their money getting kicked into the WNBA, especially given the fact that they treat Miss Clark the way they do. But still, at the same time, though, Caitlin Clark should not have bent her knee to the woke mob. But still, at the same time, though, it was obviously expected given the fact that they completely roughed her up for an entire season and will probably rough her up even harder because they can obviously see that she is weak. Now, what Caitlin Clark should have done was that she should have said that, hey, look, I appreciate all the accolades, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Hopefully this will be a new way going forward, and maybe the stars of the WNBA will get more recognition. She didn't need to mention race. She didn't need to say anything about black players. She didn't need to say that at all. She should have just went ahead and included everybody. I mean, it is all women, right? You know, we're all colorblind, correct? Obviously, she chose not to do that. She's obviously going to pay a price. But once again, though, the lesson of this story is never bow to the woke mob because they'll never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, be satisfied. Guys, there'll be a second video coming out tomorrow that I may go ahead and make tonight. It's about the girl who decided to plow 100 men, and now she plans on plowing 1,000 men. Yeah, I got a few wild ones to throw out there before the year ends, so make sure you guys stick around for that. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comment section, and I'll see you guys later.